Living in the States, you're living in one of the most brutal societies in the history of the world. You know, the country who inherited the genocide of the Native American peoples, a country which participated in chattel slavery, you know, the only country in the world to use and drop an atomic bomb on another country, society. The country which murdered and enslaved millions in Southeast Asia as a result of the Vietnam War. And we drew from the people who resisted. We were inspired because we feel that any society or any government or any system that is set up solely to profit a wealthy class, while the majority of the people toil and suffer and sell their labor power, so long as that system's only true motive is profit interest and not the maintenance and betterment of the population to meeting human needs, then that society should not stand. It should be challenged and questioned and overthrown.
Rage Against the Machine frontman Zach De La Rocha speaks truth to power, not just in his lyrics, but also his interviews on the subject of policing in America. The direct correlation between extremist groups and law enforcement has been provided as evidence that it not only exists, but remains prevalent in precincts across the country to this day. Yet still, there is so little action being taken to combat this.
Policing in one form or another has existed since colonial days, in the form of night watches, local sheriffs, and militias. In the 1700s, the South saw the rise of official, salaried slave patrols, whose task was to capture, control, and brutalize enslaved people.
The initial acts that empower slave patrols and militias were acts that basically empowered all white people to surveil and punish all black people.
All white people, including white children, were expected to enforce so-called slave codes. These laws were meant to prevent enslaved people from organizing or rebelling. It was against the law, for example, for enslaved people to leave their plantations, gather without a white person present, learn to read or write, or even defend themselves if attacked by a white person.
To understand policing and how we got here, we must understand the origins and history of policing. Thus, when slavery was abolished, the patrols were prevalent up until the end of the Civil War. The 13th Amendment was passed, and patrols were replaced by militia groups per the NAACP. Even the FBI, to this day, admits members of law enforcement have direct ties to extremist groups. Yet we've known this all along. After all, in part, this subject inspired Rage Against the Machine's hit Killing in the Name, with Zach De La Rocha's vocals, Tom Morello's riffs, Brad Wilkes' drumming, and Tim Comerford's bass. It combined for an ultimate classic on the United States Empire's history of oppression and tyranny. The first 8 lines have become a symbol for not just modern-day policing, but its history and how some things have never changed. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Morello would then explain the song on Talib Kweli's People's Party.
The timeless quality of that song has to do with with Zach's brilliant lyric, and to me it relates to something in the Frederick Douglass autobiography, where Frederick Douglass said he was freed from slavery not the moment when he was released from his physical bonds. It was when master said yes and he said no.
Wow.
And that's you, I won't do what you tell me.
That's
it's like
right.
it's standing up against illegitimate authority wherever it rears its ugly head.
The song was released not long after the Rodney King beating took place in Los Angeles. It is clear from the opening line, Rage suggests that the power structures within society are inherently corrupt and that those in positions of authority are capable of perpetuating the same hate and discrimination they are supposed to protect against. Garth Richardson, seen here on the right, is a music producer who worked with Rage on this track. He'd tell Louder Sound, the King beating was a big thing for the city. Zach and I had a long talk about the power of speech and how whatever he needed to say, he had to say it. Malcolm X was a major influence in Zach's life, and this was not the time to back down. Thus, the lines, "Now you do what they told you," are blatantly calling out everyone who dare not question authority, who dare not question the systems in place, but stridently and passively march to the beat of the drum of the evil empire. The stanza also speaks volumes to us as Americans, to not question authority, to roll over when given orders, and how this has been passed down from generation to generation to not ruffle feathers, to not think, maybe I shouldn't go along with these atrocities, and that we are conditioned and programmed to follow the systems that are in place. And mainly, when it comes to policing, that they do not protect us. As a matter of fact, the Supreme Court ruled decades ago that they are not lawfully abided to protect us. It is about protecting the wealthy, the ultra-wealthy class, and it is about protecting property. Then the iconic chorus of the song, "Those who died are justified for wearing the badge of the chosen whites." The last stanza, matched with Zach's riveting vocals, are the fury and anger the band, like many, feel, though the public sometimes cannot express. From louder sound once more, Killing in the Name, unsurprisingly enough, was slapped with a radio ban across most US stations. The unedited video version was also censored on MTV. A majority of the band's success, by the way, would not come in the United States because they were essentially shadow banned. It would take place in Europe. And as Billboard's Timothy White puts it, Rage produced a latticed wall of stridor so deftly woven that it's destined to be the standard for any audacious headbangers who dare follow. Zach would tell the LA Times in the year 1992, "I just felt it applied in the kind of message we were trying to put at the forefront of our music. I wanted to think of something metaphorically that would describe my frustrations toward America, toward this capitalist system, and how it has enslaved and exploited and created a very unjust situation for a lot of people." Lastly, from Rolling Stone, Zach says in an archival interview within a mini doc, "The country who inherited the genocide of the Native American people, a country which participated in slavery, any society or any government or any system that is set up solely to profit a wealthy class while the majority of the people toil and suffer and sell their labor power, so long as that system's only true motive is profit interest and not the maintenance and the betterment of the population to meeting human needs, then that society should not stand. It should be challenged and questioned and overthrown." In conclusion, Rage continues to have their music transcend time. And if there are any other political and protest songs that y'all think that we should do a deep dive on, leave that song in the comment section and we'll get to it. Appreciate y'all watching. Have a great day.